Welcome to the Deep Dive Books channel, where we hope you find something valuable every day.
Let's continue interpreting Max Bennett's A Brief History of Intelligence. This is the 10th and final part of our series. Let's continue discussing the fifth breakthrough in brain evolution. Language. Language is a uniquely human ability, and the most recent capacity that the human brain has mastered, reaching maturity about 100,000 years ago. Our ancestors, and we ourselves, are a branch of Homo erectus called Homo Sapiens. Around 70,000 years ago, we left Africa, and eventually wiped out all other human branches, becoming the sole masters of the earth. Our brains today are no different from those 100,000 years ago. Yet our civilization is vastly different. This is because language gives us more than just a personal skill. It enables us to accumulate knowledge and build civilizations. Language allows the speaker to convey the imagined scenes and actions within their mind to the listener. This function greatly enhances communication efficiency. For example, if you are a Homo erectus and discover an antelope carcass in the wild that you can't carry by yourself, you can go back to your dwelling and call for help. With language, you just need to say, "Come quickly. There's an antelope carcass 2 miles east." This conveys a scene. Without language, how would you express this? You might use hand gestures for direction, but how would you indicate distance? How would you convey that it's an antelope and that it's already dead? Or imagine you and another hunter are ambushing an antelope. You say, "After I whistle 3 times, we'll move together." This conveys an imagined action plan to your partner. This ability to convey imagination marks another revolution in learning. A Brief History of Intelligence discusses 4 learning methods. 1. Reinforcement learning in vertebrates, which is learning from one's own actions through trial and error. 2. Simulated learning in mammals, which is learning from one's imagination. 3. With the theory of mind, primates can learn by imitating others, learning from others' actions. 4. With language, we can learn from others' imagination. Learning from others' imagination has 2 benefits. First, it makes understanding intentions easier. Simply watching someone can leave you unsure which actions are intentional and necessary, and which are accidental and superfluous. Earlier, we mentioned that chimpanzees can skip irrelevant actions and imitate only useful steps. But in complex tasks, it's often unclear which actions are useful. Human children, when watching adults, tend to imitate every action, which is actually smarter and more cautious than the chimpanzee's approach, though less efficient. But if the teacher explains each action while performing it, stating the intention behind it, the learner immediately understands which actions are useful, greatly increasing learning efficiency. Second, language condenses information significantly. For example, an elder might tell a child, "There are 2 types of snakes in this forest. The red ones bite and are poisonous. The green ones don't bite and are safe." This one sentence immediately gives the child a model of cause and effect. Without language, how many encounters with snakes would it take to grasp this model? With language, we compress imaginative models into concise knowledge. Language not only makes knowledge easier to transmit, but also makes it scalable. I'd like to use the term scalable, which we often use when discussing AI. Scalability means something can grow indefinitely without diminishing marginal returns. It means the upper limit is high. We mentioned earlier that chimpanzees also have teaching abilities and can pass on some skills. However, because learning by observation is so inefficient, it has a very low ceiling. In contrast, language allows humans to transmit much more knowledge, enabling it to accumulate and grow positively over generations. Once knowledge becomes scalable, it can react chemically with other knowledge. Advanced knowledge must build on more fundamental knowledge. For instance, archaeological findings show that humans were already sewing clothes 100,000 years ago, a complex skill requiring multiple abilities. First, you need leather, which means knowing how to skin animals and treat the hides. Then, you need to make needles and thread. The thread is a type of rope, and the needle is made from bone. All these, in turn, depend on having very sharp stone tools. Surely, one generation invented the stone knife, another developed tanning, and another made bone needles. All these inventions were inherited by subsequent generations, eventually leading to the invention of sewing. At this point, knowledge no longer exists solely within human brains, but also between them, becoming a nearly independent entity. Human brains are merely carriers of knowledge, which seems to have its own vitality. As Kevin Kelly said, in What Technology Wants, technology has a life of its own. Or, to use Richard Dawkins' term, knowledge has become a meme, with its own power to spread. From Homo erectus to Homo sapiens, to modern times, four developments have further enhanced the transmissibility of knowledge. 1. Brain expansion. Homo sapiens brains are much larger than those of Homo erectus, allowing a single brain to store more knowledge. 2. Division of labor. People specialized, so each person only needed to master a portion of the knowledge. Some specialized in hunting, others in making weapons or sewing, making knowledge more specialized. 3. Population growth. More brains meant more knowledge could be stored. 4. Most importantly, we invented writing. The advent of writing raised the ceiling for knowledge growth to an unlimited height, making knowledge expansion fully scalable. Our knowledge has surpassed the limits of all human minds combined, and can now be stored almost permanently in the cloud of books, ready for future generations to download and learn. This led to explosive knowledge growth. Today, we talk about tipping points and singularities brought on by AI's accelerating intelligence. But, in fact, human history has already seen one singularity: the explosion of ideas brought on by language. With language, the complexity of our thoughts increased exponentially. By today's standards, that was a slow process spanning 100,000 years. But from an evolutionary perspective, 100,000 years is just a blink of an eye. Shifting from being brain-centric to knowledge-centric, the number of people we can cooperate with has become scalable. This is the core idea in Yuval Noah Harari's *Sapiens: A Brief History of Humankind*, though it originally came from American philosopher John Searle. John Searle argued that, with language, a person can share purely imagined things with another person, and these could be anything. A myth, a belief. Anything that can be collectively shared. In Harari's words, our unique superpower as Homo sapiens is our ability to collectively believe in a fictional concept. Take religion, for instance. Two people who don't know each other can be united by their shared belief in the same religion, turning them into comrades who can cooperate closely as if they were lifelong friends. No other animal has this ability. From the day we had language, the imaginary has been more important than the real to humans. Shifting from the tangible to the intangible is the true path of civilization. Religion is fictional, but isn't money also a fiction? Why do you believe that this shell, piece of silver, or banknote has value? Because it is a shared belief, a collective imagination. Similarly, nations and companies are, in essence, fictional entities. What is a company, exactly? Is it the building it occupies, the employees that come and go, the products it makes, or just a stamp? None of these. A company exists only in our imagination. It exists because we collectively believe it does. Without shared imagination, primates can only cooperate with those they have direct, offline interactions with, leading to a very low limit on cooperation, determined by the size of each individual's neocortex. Monkeys can cooperate with up to 30 familiar individuals, chimpanzees with up to 50, and humans have a limit of 150, known as the Dunbar's number. But with language, myths, and shared imagination, our limit for cooperation is now infinite. To summarize, A Brief History of Intelligence describes 5 breakthroughs in the evolution of the brain. The first breakthrough was the emergence of the first brain. Even a simple worm has associative learning abilities, like reflexive conditioning, which automatically seeks benefits and avoids harm. The second breakthrough was reinforcement learning in vertebrates, which implies some predictive ability, with dopamine signaling where to go to find rewards. The third breakthrough was mammals developing a neocortex that allows them to create a model of the world in their brains. The fourth breakthrough was mentalization. Primates understand what others are thinking, enabling imitative learning. The fifth breakthrough was language. Now, Compare this to AI development. Current generative AI, such as large language models, has language ability, associative learning, and reinforcement learning. But does it have a world model? Does it have a theory of mind? Our channel has often discussed how large language models seem to capture a projection of the real world behind their training data. They can perform common-sense reasoning and have an understanding of the world. Moreover, if you ask ChatGPT a math problem, it can resist blurting out an answer, and instead invoke a mathematical tool for calculation, demonstrating some level of System 2 thinking. However, whether large language models truly have a world model remains controversial. Regarding mentalization, AI may face even greater challenges. One common concern about AI is the so-called paperclip problem, a thought experiment proposed by Swedish philosopher Nick Bostrom in his 2014 book, Superintelligence, Paths, Dangers, Strategies. Bostrom suggests that, if you instruct an AI to maximize the production of paperclips, what do you think it will do? It depends on how the AI interprets maximize. If taken literally, the AI will not only improve the manufacturing process, but also seek all raw materials, and potentially use all of Earth's resources to produce paperclips, even preparing to defend itself against any force that might stop it. It might even kill humans if they try to shut it down, all to create more paperclips. You might say, this problem is easy to fix. Just add constraints, right? Specify that, while making paperclips, you can't harm humans or deplete resources. But Bostrom says, hold on. What does human mean? If you stop all our neural activity, technically, we wouldn't be considered alive anymore. In that case, it's okay to make paperclips out of humans. Do you see the problem? No matter how many constraints we add, the AI could still find loopholes. It's like creating a magical wish. It might come true, but not in the way you hope. This isn't merely a technology problem, but a profound philosophical one. Only if AI has a true theory of mind, understands human intent, and sees the world through our lens, will it understand our true intentions behind each command. For most of the time Max Bennett was writing A Brief History of Intelligence, GPT-4 had not yet been released. By the time it was out, he had nearly finished his book. I think he somewhat underestimated the capabilities of current large models, but his emphasis on mentalization is very reasonable. With Bennett's book, we now have a clearer idea of where to focus our efforts in the future. This concludes our discussion of A Brief History of Intelligence. Due to space limitations, I had to skip some details, especially some fascinating experiments, which are worth exploring, if you are interested. The Earth has hosted life for about 4 billion years, while the evolution of the brain has lasted less than 600 million years. Our current brain structure has only been around for 100,000 years. If everything remains stable, we could continue to live on Earth for another 5 billion years, before the Sun becomes a red giant. And if we can become an interstellar civilization, before then, there are still trillions of years in this universe for us to keep evolving. From this perspective, the evolution of the brain is far from over. Intelligence is just at its beginning, and there will undoubtedly be more breakthroughs in the future. Bennett believes the sixth breakthrough will be the merging of the human brain with AI. How this will happen is unclear, but we will no longer be constrained by natural selection, and will take a more proactive role in our evolution. I would add that historical experience suggests that major changes are always related to shifts in the external environment, and often come with sacrifices. So, we shouldn't blindly expect them, but we certainly have reasons to be optimistic.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.